Our top story this afternoon is about the Black Lives Matter protests and the movement which continues to rage across the United States. Several arrests have been made as anti-racism protests have turned violent across the United States. Hundreds of members of a black militia group marched in the U.S. city of Louisville, demanding answers for the death of an African-American woman. 26-year-old Breonna Taylor was killed amid gunfire when police officers burst into her home in Louisville on March 13th this year. The police had entered her home with an arrest warrant. Neither the person they were looking for nor any drugs were found in her apartment. No charges have been filed against the three officers involved in the raid so far.
We gonna give them 4. So why y'all can't tell us the truth about what happened to Breonna Taylor? Because the truth is, you see, y'all tried to sing and they ignored you. Y'all tried to chant and they ignored you. Shit, y'all even told and they ignored you. But when it got to the world stage, people with guns heard about it. And then we came knocking, and guess what? They ain't allowed us at all.
Meanwhile, several arrests were made in Seattle, where protests turned violent. Demonstrators were seen throwing rocks, bottles and fireworks at the police officers. Federal troops have been told to deploy across the city, and this comes amid anti-racism protests that have been taking place across the country. In Portland, additional charges included arson and trespassing. We're now showing you some live visuals coming in from Portland City in the United States, where protests have turned violent, and the police was even seen firing some tear gas at the protesters to disperse the crowds and get them under control. Once again, these are live visuals coming from Portland, Oregon in United States. Once again, these are visuals coming in from Portland in the United States, where protests have turned violent. This is, of course, the Black Lives Matter protests that have swept the country since the killing of George Floyd at the hands of a white police officer in Minneapolis. Following that incident, protests have swept across the world, in fact, against racism and police brutality.